India Legal, stories that count.
Hello and welcome to another special readout from India Legal magazine. As you know, we are the nation's first politico-legal independent weekly focusing on controversial issues of national and international importance. The video readouts we present to you regularly are the editorial team's choice of the most significant stories we believe should receive close scrutiny and wide circulation. You can watch them along with the visuals or listen to them as you would a podcast. In this week's readout, we focus once again on what is an obvious subject for India Legal, the choice of U. Lalit as India's next Chief Justice. He succeeds Justice N.V. Ramana in a smooth and orderly transition devoid of any political skullduggery. This really is part 2 of the previous readout. In the last one, India Legal assigned Supreme Court Advocate Lokendra Malik to analyze and assess the process, procedures and conventions behind the appointment of India's Chief Justices. In this episode, I will focus on the specific jurisprudential issues that Justice Lalit has grappled with as a judge. His overall performance, including the challenges that lie ahead. The analysis is researched and written by G.V. Rao, another Supreme Court advocate and a frequent contributor to India Legal. In summary, Rao says that with 36 years experience in the Supreme Court, Justice Lalit's reputation precedes him. His judgments show him as a progressive judge with a social conscience, and his preparation and sobriety are well known. Now, Rao is not usually given to blind praise, but he says with open admiration that the appointment of Justice Uday Umesh Lalit, that's Uday Umesh Lalit, as the 49th Chief Justice of India is a matter of great pride to lawyers practicing in the Supreme Court of India, as well as the whole legal fraternity. This, he says, is primarily because in a rare and creditworthy circumstance, an advocate from the Supreme Court bar has not only been directly appointed as a judge of the apex court, but has also risen to occupy the highest judicial office, namely Chief Justice of India. Only once before has such an occurrence taken place, when 51 years back in January 1971, Justice S.M. Sikri rose to become Chief Justice. So now this is happening after now a half a century. So it's a matter of pride, as our writer says. Justice Lalit has been practicing in the Supreme Court since 1986. Prior to his appointment as a judge in 2014, he has 36 years of experience in the top court. Actually, Justice Lalit is the 6th senior advocate to be directly elevated to the Supreme Court from the Supreme Court bar. His rich experience emanates from the 6 years he worked from 1986 to 1992 with celebrated former Attorney General for India Soli J. Sorabji. Thereafter, having been a designated senior advocate in April 2004, his practice in the court continued for about 10 years. Following this, he was appointed judge. This shows the invaluable contribution of his judicial acumen, his competitive spirit, and of course his qualifications. Now, even as a lawyer, he has won the praise of the bench when in 2011, a Supreme Court bench of Justices G.S. Singhvi and A.K. Ganguly appointed him as a special public prosecutor for the CBI in the 2G spectrum case, or cases. There were several of them. The bench stated that in the interest of a fair prosecution of the case, appointment of U. Lalit is eminently suitable, unquote. It was well known that he appeared in several high-profile matters and that his clients included several public figures from the political milieu, film media and entertainment industry. One that raises some controversy even today and has been written about is his representation of Home Minister Amit Shah in the alleged fake encounter case in the Sohrabuddin Prajapati case. But the counter argument is that any man, any person accused of any kind of crime is innocent until proven guilty, and he must under the law have legal representation. And in this capacity, Lalit represented him, Lalit has represented Amrinder Singh, Lalit has represented Sidhu in the manslaughter case, and several others. As any good senior lawyer, including Ram Jethmalani, have a history of representing people who may not be popular or be controversial in the public eye, but under the eyes of justice or the blind eyes of justice, they represent representation. They have to have representation, and Lalit was doing nothing that is contrary to the interests of the legal profession. Now, on August 2014, Press Trust of India News reported that he had a high reputation for his preparation, patience, and sober demeanor while arguing his cases. This was description by India's leading news service. The enviable reputation that Justice Lalit earned as a member of the bar was carried forward by him to the bench. Justice Lalit's rich experience has been incorporated in about 600 judgments of the Supreme Court, touching practically all areas of law: constitutional, civil, corporate, criminal, tax, cyber, intellectual property. The list goes on. Needless to say, in these 8 years as judge of the apex court, he would have heard several thousands of matters which may have been disposed of summarily, thereby serving the ends of justice. Now, G.V. Rao quotes the philosopher Plato, quote, "And the quality of good judgment is clearly a form of knowledge and skill, as it is because of knowledge and not because of the ignorance that we judge well." Justice Lalit was part of the two-judge bench that upheld the Travancore royal family's right to administer the Sri Padmanabha Swami temple on July 13, 2020. Titled Uttradam Thirunal Marthanda Varma and Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple versus Union of India and others, the bench had ruled that the erstwhile royal family of Travancore has the management right over the historic temple in Kerala, one of the richest shrines. It held that the rule of heritability must get attached to a right of Shabbat, servitor of the temple. The bench allowed the appeal of the local heirs of Uttradam Thirunal Marthanda Varma, the younger brother of the last ruler, Sri Chithira Thirunal Balarama Varma, setting aside the Kerala High Court's 2011 verdict, which directed the state governments to set up a trust to take control of the management and assets of the temple. Now, this is a landmark judgment which frees places of religious worship from unnecessary government control. Justice Lalit has also been deeply concerned regarding the sexual abuse and violation of young children, and has effectively implemented and decided matters under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, popularly known as POSCO 2012, thereby quashing controversial and untenable judgments like the one delivered by the Bombay High Court, which had held that there is no offence when there is no direct skin-to-skin contact with sexual intent. Justice Lalit has also been seen as a progressive judge with respect to social reform when it pertains to personal law. For instance, he held in favour of a ban on triple talaq in Islamic marriages. In Shaira Banu versus Union of India in 2017, he was part of a 3-judge constitutional bench which ruled that the practice of divorce through instant triple talaq was void, illegal and unconstitutional. It was a path-breaking verdict by a bench which decided the matter by a 3-2 majority. As a result of the judgment, the following year the President passed the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Ordinance 2018 as advised by the government, which made triple talaq not only void and illegal, but a non-bailable and cognizable offence punishable with a fine and up to 3 years imprisonment. In view of Justice Lalit's commitment to legal aid and the suffering of the poor, downtrodden and the needy, he was appointed executive chairperson of the National Legal Services Authority, NALSA, by Chief Justice N.V. Ramanna, who is the patron-in-chief of this most important organization which strives to ensure that even the poorest of the poor can avail justice despite their desperate condition. In every state, State Legal Service Authority, NALSA, has been constituted to give effect to the policies and directions and to give free legal services to the people and conduct lok adalats in the state. The Legal Services Authority, NALSA, is actually headed by the Chief Justice of the respective High Court in each state, who is the patron-in-chief of it. In every District Legal Services Authority has been constituted to implement legal service programs in those districts. The authority is situated in the District Courts complex in every district and chaired by the district judge of the respective district courts. The good work being carried out by Justice Lalit as executive chairperson in over a year will get better attention when he becomes the Chief Justice on the 27th of this month. And the patron-in-chief of NALSA, Justice Lalit, has all the requisite qualities of an excellent judge and for being the Chief Justice. Unfortunately, he has a short tenure. To leave an imprint and make an impact, the quality of work is important and not the length of the tenure. It is here that we ought to recall who, in our opinion, would make a good judge and what would be his qualities. The ideal judge we are looking for is described by Charles A. Horsky in the Harvard Law Review. He says, in the ultimate sense, the greatness of judges, or the judges who are great, are those in whom is placed the greatest confidence as judges, and confidence goes to the judge who inspires his brethren on the bench, at the bar, and among the public whom he serves. The conviction of the decision of every question, the weighing of every argument, the resolution of every discretionary issue will be made selflessly, fearlessly, wisely, insofar as the wisdom given to him and to the best of the understanding of law which binds him as well as the litigant. The work initiated by CJI Ramanna would be carried forward ably by Justice Lalit, who also belongs to an illustrious family. His esteemed father, Justice U.R. Lalit, retired as a judge of the Bombay High Court and was a very effective and popular senior advocate in the Supreme Court as well. The entire bar of the Supreme Court will not only celebrate the elevation of Justice Lalit as the next CJI, but also extend all support to the successful performance of his duties. Well, Justice Lalit's tenure may be short, but if G.V. Rao's hopes and expectations and good wishes hold out, I am sure it will be sweet. This is your host editor, Inderjit Badhwar. Until next time, goodbye for now.
India Legal, stories that count.